everyone. In just a moment, I'm going to be introducing author Joanne Serling, and we're going to be talking about her brand new debut novel, Good Neighbors. I listened to this. It was so good. It was really good. I can't wait to talk to her about this. I can't believe it's a debut novel. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, the story to this, it like starts out in this nice kind of an Ann Tyler way, and then it just drags you in and you don't want to quit. So anyway, everyone, here is Joanne. Hi everyone, I am so excited to be speaking with author Joanne Serling, and we're going to be talking about her brand new debut novel, Good Neighbors. And she has a copy of it, and she's going to hold it up for you guys to see. I love the cover. Oh, perfect. It is so perfect for this book. That's what I wanted to see, because I'd actually listened to it, and the woman who did this audio is amazing. Okay. I don't know.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I know. People give me a hard time about listening to audio, but you know what? Audio world, everybody's listening to audiobooks, and I really do get a different experience, especially with these kind of, I wanted to ask you, like, is this getting listed as a thriller or just fiction?
It came out as literary fiction, but it definitely has crossover appeal to a lot of other categories. Suburban thriller, women's fiction.
Noir. I like domestic noir. It's like their new term.
Domestic noir. What? I love that. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, that's the new Amazon term for like these, family, neighborhood, oriented. And I'm telling you, ever since I've been reading, there's been a bunch of books that have come out about neighbors recently in the last 3 months. I look at my neighbors differently now. I go outside. I'm like, especially this one neighbor book where it was like your neighbors were stalking you, and I started looking at my neighbors like, this one, nobody's stalking, so it's all good.
I think it really depends where you live. You can be in a neighborhood where you're right on top of your neighbors and you think you know them well, and you still don't know certain things about them.
Well,
so
yeah, what I wanted to say about this, because I've been trying to figure out how to tell people, like how to describe it. And the only thing I can think of is, do you know who Ann Tyler is?
Of course. I grew up reading Ann Tyler.
Me
I love
too.
her.
I say that to people. That just tells you I'm 53. It tells you my age, because I say that to some of these younger people and they're like, who? And I'm like, Ann Tyler? But that, it kind of reminds me, because how you write, it's like they're all friends and it's all good. But then there's this undertone and you just know things aren't what they seem. And her books are so much like that. Like, that's why I started to love her back in the day, because it would be like, I'd start reading it and think, and then all of a sudden it like kicks in and you're like, whoa, wait a second. These aren't just, this isn't just a perfect, because these people are like friends and they hang out and their kids hang out and, and so you're seeing, like, you're hearing all this good, but then you just know that there's just stuff there. And
well, Ann Tyler was the master of the quirky character.
Yes.
And to be compared to her, to me, is a huge compliment, because these characters are very authentic. Not necessarily with each other, but hopefully on the page, because they're really flawed.
Right. But I think that that's such a testament to because it is a very character-driven book. And so you have to like really get into, because of like the pace it's at, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, like I got so into Nicole. Like I was like in her head. Like because I was listening to it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, Nicole, what do you think of that? What do you think? What do you think? It's just, I don't know. It was just like this quirky thing. Like I was like, ooh, what do you think about that?
How did you feel being in her head?
How did you?
Her head is at this place.
I know. It was fun. It was fun for most of it, but we don't talk about the ending. So, but it was fun for, I love how you had like the marriage dynamic between her and Jay. Okay. Because it's like, it's so real, because she'd be like, so do you want to hear what's going on? And he was like, okay, well, what do you think of that? Like, he's so like, I don't know, so like a man,
He's removed from the domestic drama. That's not his office politics. This is her office politics. She's home now.
Yes. exactly. And I haven't ever lived in a neighborhood that's been like this, that connected, just maybe a little bit here and there, but it doesn't matter. I've had friends that we've been in a core group like that. And,
Right.
and I wish we
I
could
grew
talk
up
about
my whole life in groups. I talked about this at a reading recently, or on a radio interview. I think I'm in about 5 different groups, and it's always changing. I'm in play groups. I'm still in touch with my high school friends, my college friends, my book
Wow.
group. I'm interested in groups and the way people make decisions in groups. So I think the neighbors are in a way a device. Yes, they live close to each other and they have access into certain things because their homes are near each other, but I think some of the dilemmas could apply to almost any group of,
Yeah.
of friends.
Absolutely. That's what I was thinking of, my high school friends. And you know what? Now that I'm this age, I don't know. We like drift in and out. At the moment, it's kind of like everybody's kids are getting, in college and getting older. And so it goes in and out. It's always, but groups are like that. They do go in and out. And there's a lot of times with your friend, your kids, sporting events, all of a sudden you find yourself in a group.
Exactly.
Because you've got like
I
this
had
common. Lacrosse. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then you act a little differently in the group than you might just one-on-one. And your decisions are a little bit different.
Yeah, and it's almost like, so you hang out in that group, and then you like get in the car with your spouse, and you're like, so what'd you think about that? What did you think about what she said?
Right. But there's nothing much at stake usually, so it's okay.
Right.
And that's always intrigued me. What if there's really something at stake?
Yeah.
What will happen? How will people behave?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like even with that, okay, so there's a neighbor and Paige, and she adopts Winnie. She's a Russian adopted daughter, and she has her a son that's biologically hers. I actually have cousins that this was their family dynamic, because they it was back in the 60s, and they said we can't get pregnant, and then they would adopt, and then they get pregnant. Like it happened.
That's common.
Yeah. It's happened to 2 of my family members, but so I do understand that having biological and then having adopted, and that dynamic in a family situation, not necessarily as friends, but definitely as a family situation. And you're always like looking for things and like, I don't know, looking for a difference or looking for a same, sometimes just a same too.
Right. As the outsider, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
as the outsider
right. I
looking.
can imagine being inside that. You're also thinking about some of those issues and questioning your love for one versus the other. Now, maybe not. Some adopted parents probably less so than others.
Right. And I always was trying to figure out, like, Nicole, her attachment to Winnie. It was like, is it because she didn't have a daughter, or was it just that she felt like there was something not right?
What the author intends and what the reader gets is sort of
True.
different, and it doesn't always matter what I intended, but I did envision her as someone who not only didn't have a daughter, but felt like she needed to save people. She had a troubled sister she couldn't save. She had her own difficult childhood, and this was her way of performing charity almost, to believe she could save someone. Whether or not you can ever save someone, much less someone else's child, is really a question the book asks. But I think that was a big draw for her, the savior complex.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but absolutely. And, and I wanted to ask you, I mean, in my family, I've had so many alcoholics. Both my parents died from alcoholism. So I really related to a lot of what Nicole was going through with Penny. But more from the, it was a family situation, but more from the mom, and, it was just all like how it affects the family. And nowadays, I mean,
they have very mixed up actions.
Yeah. And I thought you nailed it. Okay. Because even when back in the day when my parents were struggling, there wasn't really the dialogue. There wasn't the I remember my dad went to AA once, and he came home and he was like, oh my gosh, now I know I'm not an alcoholic.
Right. Nothing like denial. Don't even know I'm lying, is what a friend told me while I wrote the book. That's what denial is, especially in these AA groups often. The people who reject it anyway.
Yes. Yeah, it was just kind of interesting because, we were like, what? That's what you got out of that? That was interesting.
That's what he wanted to get out of
That's
it.
what he wanted to get. But I really love the way you dealt with it, because sometimes it, like I'll read something, and having been in that situation, I'm like, but I liked Penny. I liked I liked her as a character,
Oh,
and
good.
understood her, and so I thought you did a great job, and the mom. Just even exposing her flaws, and as the book goes, and I thought it was a
So
really
you could
good.
empathize.
Yeah, I did. I could empathize, and I thought you did a really good job with that connect. How the three of them were trying to figure it out, because it's really hard to figure out.
I heard another author, Akil Sharma, who wrote a great book, Family Life. When he talked about his book, he said he wanted every character to be 100% wrong and 100% right.
Ooh, I like
And I
that.
really thought about that, and I wanted the same thing for my characters because that's empathy.
Yes, yes, and even with Paige, there was a certain amount of empathy that you could feel for her, even when looking through Nicole's eyes, you just kept getting mad at her. But then as things unravel a little bit, you're like, oh, you're seeing a little bit more. You can get a little bit more sympathetic to her character.
Yeah, she was probably unprepared for what she signed up for.
Right,
Does that make her a terrible person? It just makes her human.
right.
Maybe not the biggest heart in the world, but human.
I love the lines that she kept saying. Well, that's how adopted, toddlers are. Like, that's how adopted, and it was a funny line, because, when, as I'm listening to it, like it's so much different, especially because of the way you put it was like simple little things, like, well, that's how they act. But it was like not, that they have temper tantrums, more just like silly little things. And Paige would be like, well, that's how they are. That's just how they are. Like, she didn't know. She didn't have a way. So that's how she excused all her behavior and all of her just being a normal child. It's like she couldn't be normal. She had to have, these
Oh,
faults.
that's insightful. Yes, right. She had to label everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I always pick something that is my favorite, because on Fridays I do favorites of every book that I post that week. And I should say, this is the first time I'm going to do a beginning and an ending. Okay, and this ending doesn't give away anything, because I don't give away anything. I want everybody to go read the book. I do not want to give away an ending. But I love how you start the book off what we thought we knew, and then ended it with what we knew. And for anybody, I just want to point it out, because I want you to read that. Like, because I went back, I always go back. I read them, and then I go back, and I was like, right. Because I forgot. I forgot that that's how you started the book off. And then I was like, oh my God, that's genius. I love that.
Well, I have to tell you that that was the last thing I wrote. The book was done and ready to go out to agents. And I was driving my car down the street, and like a little song started to play in my head. And it was What We Thought We Knew. Now, at that time, that was the title of the book. And I thought it would be so cool to introduce the characters and link it to the title. And this little, it was almost like a song. It was so rhythmic, started to play in my head. And I pulled my car over and got out my phone and wrote it down in the notes section of my phone. That was the last thing to come, and the easiest, because I didn't even think. It was like, because the book was done, I understood these characters so well, it just flowed out of me. It was fun.
Yeah. And because, like I said, when I was listening to it, when it got to the end, and when you said that, I mean, the ending is just incredible for everybody out there. It's incredible. And, when you said that paragraph, I was just like, wow. And then I went back to the beginning, and I was like, wow. I mean, I love when a book is tied up like that. That is, like, for me, I don't know, I get like all happy about it.
Right, you have a sense of closure.
Yeah, a little sense of closure, and a little, like, yeah, like a little package, and
It's so hard to get that in real life, right?
yeah, no kidding.
It's hard to read.
Right. So this is your debut novel. I mean, I have so many book reviewers on Instagram who send me books. They're like, because those women can read. Okay. I think reading a book a day, I always think that's impressive. Nothing on these people. Okay. They will get a stack of books and be like, this is what I'm doing today. And I'm like, how do you do it today?
Wow.
Are you eating? Are you doing anything else? But they're serious book reviewers, and they've been sending this book. At least 3 people sent me this book. And they were
Oh,
like,
that's
read
so
this.
nice to hear.
Yeah, read this. And now I know why. I mean, they never steer me wrong. I mean, and for that to be a debut novel, that just must make you so happy because, there are a lot of times that it takes till the third or fourth book for people to really catch on and to have heard of you and, the word to get out there. So.
Well, I'm happy with how the story came out. I am thrilled, actually. And when I hear from people and they tell me it touched them or that they maybe missed their kid's school bus because they were reading it, I'm sorry for their kid in the school bus, but that makes me pleased.
Yeah. And we're doing this interview on a Tuesday, which is always like book release days. Book haul days.
It is.
And I see people on Instagram saying that. Is it bad if I send, an Uber to go pick my kid up from school because I don't want to leave because, they get all the brand new books and they don't want to leave their house. And, I always think that's really fun for you guys to see that that's how we readers, how crazy people we are, that we're trying to plan our whole day around reading your books.
It's thrilling. Are you kidding? Years and years in the Montclair Public Library working alone, and then to hear people enjoy it and read it and miss their kid's school bus for it, I can't think of a better compliment.
I know some authors are like, but it took me years to write it and you read it in a day. And I'm like, sorry, but that's a good thing. Okay?
That's the point.
Yes, right. Exactly. It is the point. So this just came out in February. Do you have anything else? Are you writing your next one? And
I am working on something, but it's too soon to say if it's really going to hold. It's like rolling out the dough when you make cookies, except I don't necessarily have the recipe yet. So I'm rolling it out and looking at something. I feel excited about it, but I hope it sticks.
Aww.
Not to mix my metaphors.
That's right. Well, you taught fiction writing, right?
I did for a short time, yes. Okay. I attended the Writer's Studio in New York, which is a terrific program for anyone in the New York area.
Yes.
And I'll just tell you quickly, when I enrolled, I had already been a professional magazine writer and I worked in communications. So I had the wrong idea that writing a book would be a quick and easy next step. So I called up the Writer's Studio and I said, I just want to make sure I can outline, by the end of the 10 weeks, I will have outlined my novel. And they said, absolutely not. And I was taken aback and I said, why? And they said, because we're a professional school. I said, what does that mean? They said, we teach craft and we go slowly and we make sure you know what you're doing. I was there 8 years, learning craft, writing exercises, being in an ongoing workshop. I published 2 stories in that time and I did some teaching. But if you want to write literary fiction and you want people to read your book in one sitting, there's a lot to learn that you don't learn as a PR professional.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting because you think, especially a book like yours, and it's written so well that it's so easy to listen to and to read that you start to think like, oh, she probably sat down in January, wrote this, February, March, probably wrapped it up in April. And then, but that's the key is like, it's supposed to look that like it is that easy. It's just not that easy to get it that tight and the story to move the way it moves.
Right. Both the narrator, the style came pretty quickly, and that was a fun style to use. That Nicole's voice is very kinetic and sometimes disconnected. Her mind jumps from thing to thing, and that was a lot of fun. But then figuring out how to reveal all the characters with a narrator like that, and figuring out how to move the story forward over a 2-year period, which a lot of novels are more compressed time. So that took some doing and some big white legal pads and some days off and experimentation.
Yeah, and just to reveal, as you're revealing things about each character through her, it's like you're giving nibbles of things along the way of these different characters. It's like, and that I always think is such a talent because you can't just throw everything out there, in 2 chapters because that's not fun.
It's very heavy-handed, right?
Yeah.
I actually struggle to get the nibbles in. All along people and ultimately my editor would say, we need a little more. What do these people look like? But because of who's telling the story and the way her mind moves, it's hard to reveal and keep up that very chatty, seemingly effortless pace.
Yes. Yes, you did a great job with that because I loved her narratives about what these other women and the men and the kids and her own kids. And, she had, I love the way it was introduced. A couple of times I like chuckled when she would be talking about Paige, or Nayla or Lorraine, and she'd work it in, but that's kind of how our brains work too. I mean, that I felt like it is. I was like kind of thinking to myself, like, oh, I guess that is the self-talk. Like when we're talking to one of our friends, or neighbors or whatever, you're all that inner dialogue is already like, look what she's wearing today. Where's she going? What is she doing? Like, or where the car, I love like where the car's parked, where the car's not parked, where it's like all these
Right.
little things,
I think people who realize that they have that inner dialogue are less shocked by Nicole. Some people are very
Right.
shocked that she has all those thoughts. And I guess I would challenge them to ask themselves, do they not have the same thoughts?
Yeah, because that's what I thought too. And I was like, no, you know what? Because I was thinking, do I really think that many thoughts in that period of a time? And then I was like, you know what? We do. We actually do. We just don't know it. You don't know. You don't. But if you were to actually sit down and think, like, what did I just think? What judgments did I just make in a minute?
Right, right. She's an extreme example, but I think we all do it to some
Oh,
extent.
absolutely. Absolutely. I just loved her. I love this book. I'm so happy that everybody passed it along to me and, said read this because you know, there are so many books out there in this world. There's not enough of my reading time. There are just so many books. And so I always say that as a compliment. It's like we found each other. I found your book and I am so happy that people pass it along.
Me too. That's the biggest compliment is word of mouth. So thank you for discovering it and for falling in love with it and asking me to be here.
Yeah, I know. And what's funny is I have Instagram, on my phone, right? And I'll be standing in the grocery store scrolling, and that's what they do is they'll send me, like I'm reading this, read this, and I start taking pictures. What I do is I take pictures of what they're sending me, and then at the end of the day, I'll go and reach out. Like I scroll through my pictures. It's a system.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I love having lots of books to read. I have a nightstand full of books to read.
Oh, yes, me too. And now people send me books. Like it's my dream. When I was growing up, I used to have to save every dime of my allowance or money and to go get a book, to go get a paperback. And I'd always get stressed when the paperback was almost done because I knew I had to, like, I was such a reader, And then there was the library, but there was something about owning a book for me. And now when I get books, people send me books and I'm like, would have thought like someday I'd wake up and get my mail and I got books. So
it's fabulous.
Awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. So hold your book up again. So I want everybody to see the cover one more time because so much thought gets put into these covers. So much thought. I mean, this goes through and I love the type. I love that. I love the font. It's perfect. It really is. What a great picture. Can we see the book binding, the side of the book?
So the cover wraps, and the table wraps around. There's a tray on the front that wraps, and then the very back is a dinner napkin over the table where
so cool.
The quotes are. I absolutely adored this cover, even if it wasn't mine. I just did a reading in my hometown in Rochester, New York, and my family independently all came up to me and said, it looks just like Grandma's table. So that was pretty thrilling, too. We had a very formal and elegant, my grandmother had a beautiful Victorian and was sort of, very elegant entertainer, and she did have a table like this.
That's incredible. I love it. I love seeing the different covers that people come up with, and the fact that this one so depicts the story. I was like, oh, this is so perfect. So everyone, you can get this book. It's on Amazon. I will have Joanne's links. I'll have all of her, wherever you are, Facebook, Twitter, all your links will be listed below so everybody can find you. And then the Amazon, just hit the link. It'll take you right to her book and you can buy the book. And I can't wait to see what you write next. Please, you know where to find me. Okay?
Thank you so much for your support. I'm thrilled that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day, Joanne.
You too. Bye. Bye.
We're back. Oh my gosh, wasn't she so cute? I am not kidding. This book is really, really good, especially as it fits into that domestic noir. I love that. I love that. I love that title of it. But I mean, that is so perfect for this book because it is fiction, but then there's a lot of suspense written into it. And I just love that. So thank you, Joanne. Thank you for talking with me. And I can't wait to see what you've written, what your next book, I should say. I can't wait to see what your next book is going to be like. You are an amazing writer. And thank you for talking with me. And everyone, Joanne's links are going to be listed below. And if you enjoyed watching us talk, hit like. If you'd like to get updates on all my videos, hit subscribe.